unless I need this, I'll just go without. Do you guys need this mic?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Usually I'm loud because I'm from the South, and so not as necessary. Again, just wanted to thank you all for coming. Senator Rich here, part of the U.S. delegation, is here with me as well. We're going to give a quick recap on last night, walk through a couple of the events for today, and then we'll take a few questions before we head out to cheer on some of the great U.S. athletes. So just as a recap, last night we had an incredible opportunity, a very special evening hosted by President Moon and the First Lady on the grounds of the Blue House. It was another great opportunity to strengthen our strong alliance with South Korea and continue the important conversations that we're having. Ivanka had the opportunity to pass on a personal message from the President, particularly regarding the latest sanctions on North Korea, and that were discussed and announced yesterday by Secretary Mnuchin back in the States. We had a great evening and a great exchange, and again, just another opportunity to continue the important relationship and the important alliance that we have with South Korea. Today, we are changing gears a little bit. As you can tell by our attire, we are going to be headed out into the cold here in the next few minutes. We're going to attend the Big Air event where we will watch 3 U.S. athletes compete. We will be joined by the First Lady and the Foreign Minister. There will also be 3 U.S. athletes that are sitting with us, as well as 3 South Korean athletes that will join us in watching the athletes compete this morning. We're really excited about that and have high expectations that our country will both perform and do extremely well today. After that, we will head over to the men's curling finals, which we are incredibly excited to get to be a part of. I hear this is the hottest ticket in town, and we are really proud and excited to cheer on the U.S. team, and we think they're going to do really great today. We're just honored to get to be part of that. After that is over later tonight, we will attend the speed skating men and women's medal games, and again cheer on U.S. athletes. And we're extremely happy and proud to be here on behalf of the presidential delegation, and look forward to watching some great competition. We congratulate the people of South Korea on an incredible Olympic Games that they put together. This has been spectacular. We've only been here about 24 hours. We've slept about 2, but already we can tell just what an incredible success this has been, both for the athletes, but also for the country of South Korea. We're really excited to get to be here and share that opportunity. With that, I'll turn it over to the Senator. He'll make a couple of remarks, and then we'll take your questions.
Thanks so much, sir. Did you mention that this is the first opportunity the curling team has to go for a gold?
I had to save something for you.
All right, thank you. Big party tonight if USA wins. Well, thank you all for coming today. Look, the President of the United States has dispatched this delegation to come here and to cheer on and to celebrate the athletes from the United States and from our strong ally, South Korea. We're delighted to be here. We bring a message of peace and tranquility. This is a chance to celebrate as all the people on the planet gather to participate in games that have preset rules in a civilized fashion and accept the results. It's a great way to get together and do these things. Also, the President dispatched us to help the South Korean people celebrate the great achievements that they have made over the last 60 years. South Korea is a role model, really, for the rest of the world to show what can be done in really a short time of 60 years to establish a democracy, to establish rule of law, to establish respect for human rights, and a free market system that produces a very robust economy, providing the quality of life that everybody wants to live. South Korea needs to be congratulated for that. They are justly proud of that, and we want to join them in that regard. Last night, Sarah indicated, was a really good meeting with President Moon as we again underscored the close relationship between the two countries, and there is no daylight between us. We talked about that again, and again, just underscored and reiterated what Vice President Pence did when he was here earlier. So with that, we'll take your deep probing questions.
And hopefully they're all focused on the Olympics, obviously. Just kidding. Go ahead.
Looking ahead to closing ceremonies in the Olympics, will Ivanka be sitting with North Korean delegation as the Vice President did during his visit here?
As of now, we don't understand that to be the plan. We have no planned meetings or interactions with North Korea.
Sarah, President Trump said that if these sanctions don't work, that we'd have to move on to phase 2, which could be potentially very rough. What is the potentially very rough phase 2? And is the United States willing to forcibly turn ships around that are coming into North Korea?
Look, as you know, the president's been very clear. He's not going to broadcast exactly what his plans are. We're going to continue a campaign of maximum pressure. The latest sanctions are the strongest that we have had on North Korea. We're going to continue in that form. And hopefully we'll see a change on behalf of the North Koreans to start to denuclearize the peninsula. That's what our focus is. But other than that, we don't have any further announcements on what specific actions that would look like. But I can tell you that the president won't make the mistakes that past administration has and be soft or weak. He's going to continue to be strong and continue to put maximum pressure on North Korea.
But would the U.S. use force to impose these sanctions?
I'm not going to get into what the specific next steps would look like, but I can tell you that we're going to be strong and continue the maximum pressure campaign. We're also going to ask all of our allies and partners to step up and do more as well and join us in that effort.
And the important message is here that there will be next steps.
Sarah, great talk on Fox News Channel. Thanks very much for allowing us here. Back to the question about Ivanka Trump and a possible meeting with North Korea. You're saying no meetings, but could there be a handshake? Could there be something that might be somewhat polite and might ease something down the road?
As of right now, there's nothing planned, but we'll certainly keep you guys posted if anything changes on that front.
And a quick question to the Senator. Followed your comments in Munich very closely, very strong. As you're traveling through here in South Korea, I'm thinking about your words, a catastrophic event, biblical proportions. If Kim Jong-un pushes the button, there would be a catastrophic event here too. Does that concern you?
Of course it does. It should concern everyone. Those comments were made in Munich at an international security gathering where we exchanged views on what the biggest challenges in the world were today. And you can't ignore the situation. Look, nobody wants military action. Nobody wants military action. But the president has said that he is committed to see that the North does not marry a nuclear tip to a ICBM. When he says that, people should listen to him. And he has made, I think, abundantly clear what his views are and what his mind is on that. And I think it's very important that the president and everyone that's involved in these telegraph what they are thinking about what their objectives are and what their intent is. So it is a serious situation. But look, we're here to celebrate the Olympics, and obviously it's an elephant in the room with it being only not many miles north of here, where things change dramatically when you cross the DMZ. Thank you.
Go ahead, Dr.
This is your perfunctory Olympic question, actually, for both of you. You're going to curling. Tell us, if you could, what you know about this sport.
I would love to say I know a lot more than I do. I wish that I had been able to spend a lot more time watching the Olympics. Unfortunately, I think I watch a lot more of the folks in this room and their networks these days than I've gotten to watch the Olympics. I know that this is the first time that the men have had a chance to compete for the gold. This has become quite the spectator sport over the last couple of years, and certainly one we're really excited to cheer on our team, and we expect that they're going to do very, very well today.
Senator, if you could tell, you're from Idaho, so maybe you know a little bit about
Yeah, well, can we talk about football? I frankly do not follow the sport that closely. What always amazes me is every time we have one of these Winter Olympics, how we get a spike in interest in curling. So I'm going to be interested like everybody else is tonight, and hope we win the gold.
I'm always impressed with the patience and the endurance of the athletes, and so I wish I had a little bit more of that. Maybe the press probably wish I had a little bit more of that patience too.
Secretary of Mnuchin today was talking about that by the way, I just want to preface this. You're not braving the cold. We braved the cold in the first 2 weeks. It was like minus 15. That was awful. This is the most beautiful weather we've had. So congratulations.
We brought that with us.
I figured. Well done. Secretary of Mnuchin said that if the sanctions don't work, that a naval blockade would be considered. That is almost necessarily, some people would consider that a casus belli, an act of war. There would be a confrontation likely if that happened. Does that concern you?
I think generally speaking, the situation as a whole concerns us. As the senator just said, this is something that the whole world is watching, and certainly one that the president is watching every single minute of every single day, and one that we take very seriously. That's why we've imposed the largest number of sanctions ever on North Korea. That's why we're putting a maximum pressure campaign forward, and that's why we're asking our allies and partners to step up and engage and do even more, because this is something that isn't just a threat to the United States, but it's a global threat, and one that everyone should take seriously, and one that certainly this president and this administration do.
And go ahead.
Well, I think that there have been a number of options presented to the president, and as we go down the pike, he's going to have to make, unless things change dramatically, he's going to have to make some pretty tough decisions, and he's aware of that and ready to do so to defend America. But we hope that doesn't happen. Nobody wants this to go any further than it already is. But we are where we are, and that's reality.
So just to follow up to that, Vice President said that he would be open to talking after he left South Korea during the opening ceremonies. But the messages that the U.S. sent, telegraphed by bringing Otto Warmbier's father, by meeting with defectors, by essentially snubbing Kim's sister, were that really there's nothing to talk about and we have no interest in it. So this question is twofold. Did you get any pushback from that? It was considered a loss of face for the South Korean government when the Vice President so snubbed the North and those gestures. And is there anything to talk about with the North? Would there be anything to talk about?
Look, I think we've made it pretty clear that any conversation that we would have would consist of the same messages that we've already presented publicly, and there would be no difference between a private conversation and a public conversation or public comments that we've had in regards to North Korea until we see some movement and some again, the denuclearization of the peninsula, then there's really not a lot for us to talk about, or that the conversation would change in any dramatic fashion.
Sarah, does it bother the administration that representing North Korean delegation this time around is a guy who was sanctioned by the U.S. and South Korea for associations with the nuclear and missile programs, also for allegedly killing South Korean soldiers?
Look, we're here to focus on the U.S. athletes and to cheer them on and to congratulate the South Korean team and the South Korean leadership on the success of their games, and that's the focus of what we're doing here today and over the next couple of days.
Senator, you met with President Moon last night. What was his reaction to these new sanctions?
I think President Moon has said to Vice President Pence and has said to us all along that we will work together. We will work as one to try to accomplish what needs to be done and what has to be done. And he is supportive of what we're doing, and we are supportive of South Korea's actions to help enforce the sanctions. We're going to work with our allies. We're going to work with everyone to see that the sanctions are enforced. Sanctions are good, but they're only good if they are enforced, and it's going to take some movement on people's part.
It almost seems at odds with what they're trying to do with North Korea. At the same time, they're trying to buddy up, sort of. It's
yeah. Well, our president has said talking is good, dialogue is good. we have dialogue with most countries on the planet, and people do better when they do have dialogue. The president has said so, and I believe the South Koreans have been very clear that they also want dialogue.
If dialogue is good, why isn't President Trump dialoguing with North Korea or having them meet with his daughter while she's here?
Look, again, the point that we've made over and over again is the conversations that we would have privately would not change from our public comments. We'd like to see North Korea make some movement towards denuclearization, and that would be the genesis of productive conversations. Again, our focus over the next couple of days is on the Olympics and celebrating the athletes here, cheering them on, and certainly congratulating the South Koreans on a successful game. So we'll take about 2 more questions.
What do you think about the prospect of the suspension of Russia being lifted over the weekend, despite failing to...
I'm sorry, can you speak a little louder?
The suspension of Russia it could be lifted this weekend, despite the fact they failed to doping test.
That's something that we would leave to the Olympic Committee, not something that we would specifically weigh in on at this time. But again, we're here to cheer on our athletes, and we would leave those decisions to the Olympic Committee to make that determination.
Sarah, President Moon is still weighing this invitation from Kim-Jong-un for a summit that could happen in the next couple of months. Does President Trump support the leaders of South Korea and North Korea getting together at a summit?
As the senator just said, I think he believes that the dialogue could be helpful, as dialogue always can be, as long as the message remains the same and the goals remain the same.
Have you seen military drills resuming after the Olympics?
I'm not going to get ahead of those decisions, but I would imagine that that's probably pretty likely that we go back to where we were before the Olympic Games. We'll take one last question here. We'll go to the back since you guys on the front row have taken quite a few. One, because we've got to make sure that we don't miss the big air. And two, because we have on all of the gear to watch that. It's getting really hot in here. So we'll take one last question.
I'll let you get to the big air. The action sports are pretty fun. Look, this, as you stated, the Olympics are a time of celebration of sport and internationality, if you will. But back home, with the gymnastics situation and now USA Swimming and other entry games facing similar issues where coaches and officials are abusing young athletes in safe sport, I'm just wondering if the White House is concerned about that, and maybe we need to revisit how we develop young athletes.
I think anytime there is an abuse in the situations that you've described, it's something that absolutely has to be taken incredibly seriously. It causes great concern, I think, not just for the administration, but certainly for the Olympic Games, and particularly for young athletes that want to be participants at a higher level. And we need to address it. We need to figure out the best way to prevent that from happening. We are looking right now at across the board ways that we can improve the safety and security of America's children, and that shouldn't stop whether they're at home, in a school, at a park, or participating in a sporting event of any type. And so we're always looking for the best ways to protect kids across this country. I'm a parent, I have 3 kids, and so it's something that is personally very important to me, and something that we're going to continue to look for every single day, the best ways to improve upon those situations and how we can prevent anything like that from taking place again.
Could you take one more from the front row?
I'll let the senator decide on that one. He's in charge from here.
Who are you going to ask the question to?
Who do you want?
Yeah, sure, we'll take one.
Either way, go ahead. One more.
Chief of Staff Kelly has said that he is going to remove all the temporary security clearances. So one, has Jared Kushner's security clearance been removed? 2, can he do his job with the Middle East portfolio without security clearance? And 3, how can he justify not removing his security clearance?
One question.
It's a multi-pronged. She's probably going to give the same answer for all
So,
of that.
as we've said many times before, we don't discuss individual security clearances. We're not going to change that here in South Korea today.
So is there going to be one blanket policy for all?
I can tell you that, as Chief of Staff Kelly said last week, Jared's an important and valued member of the administration, and the role that he plays both on overseeing the Israeli-Palestinian negotiations won't change, as well as his role in negotiating and helping develop relationships with Mexico. Those are the two bigger things in his portfolio, and those won't be impacted, as the chief said last week. So, thank you guys so much, and go Team USA.
I haven't forgotten about you all. More news now coming up. In the meantime, how about we take a live look at Times Square? What did you think about that international news conference? And can you believe it? We got a worldwide live stream here on News Now, and you were here to witness it.